Hey guys, welcome back to my Standard of the World series. So today's a really exciting day. I got my Mianne Benchwork. It arrived the other day from UPS, and so it's all sitting here unpacked as you can see. But today's video is all about Mianne Benchwork. What is Mianne Benchwork? How do you receive it? How do you order it? And how do you assemble it? And what are the advantages of it? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's do this. Okay, so let's talk about what is Mianne Benchwork. Well, basically it's a pre-made modular benchwork support system that you can have custom made in any configuration that you want to. And its main advantage, there's a couple of main advantages to it. One is obviously speed of layout construction. Everything that you're going to need to create your complete support system for your layout is going to be included in the kit. So you're going to get all these different pieces like you see right here. So I have legs right here, and the legs you can get in different sizes. These, I prefer these, which are 36 inches, which is basically counter depth height, kitchen counter depth height. That's my preferred size that I like, but you can get them made in any size that you want to. That's why it's called customizable Mianne Benchwork and not just Mianne Benchwork. And then you're going to get these, what they call I-beams, which are these structurally sound cross brace pieces that join it all together. You're going to get all kinds of hardware to join all these pieces together, and you're going to get a complete set of instructions that comes with it. The best part about this is if you call Tim at Mianne, he will customize whatever you need. So they have a bunch of pre-made sizes and shapes ready and available to go. But if you need something special or you're designing your own, then you can actually customize however you want it. And the nice part about this entire system is when you receive it, you're going to get this sheet right here, which is going to have a color-coded 3D rendering and also a top view rendering of your exact configuration, not just some generic configuration that you then have to figure out how to put yours together. You get the exact configuration that you ordered, and everything is color-coded, so you'll know exactly how to put it all together. They couldn't make it easier, and this is one of the really nice pieces of this. I actually have their lift gate. It's the only piece I have downstairs in my own gauge layout. When I built that, I built the structure myself, and I used a lot more wood and a lot more expense down there than if I had bought the Mianne Benchwork at the time. But for this layout up here, it happens to be a simple rectangle, so it's going to be a lot quicker and easier for me to use this benchwork. So there's all kinds of features of it that we're going to go through when we're assembling it here, and I'm going to show you how that all happens. And then you also get an instruction sheet that just has the general instructions of how to join the different pieces together and things like that. So we're going to go through all of this, but that is the one great part about this system is the way you order it is you can go on their website, and I'll put a link down below so you can check it out. You can order standard packages, or if you need a customizable package, you can just contact him and he will work with you to create your system and then get you a price on getting that ordered and then shipped to you. Comes via UPS, and you can see it came in those 2 boxes back there. So I think everything is under 4 feet. That's the longest beam I have there, and I think that is, let me look here, yeah, 48 inches, 4 feet. So that's about the longest that you're going to get as far as your packages go. So very easy to ship also. So fantastic system that we're going to go over all the details on. So let's get into it and get this thing assembled. Alright, so where do you get started? So basically you're going to start with your main diagram here, and you're going to go to page 1 here and get your parts list and make sure everything's okay. Now just one little note here. I bought a standard package, a 6x9 standard package here. I'll tell you why I picked that size, because that's not going to be the size of my tabletop. But when I picked this package, its standard height is 40 inches, and it actually lists 40 inches as the legs here. But I actually ordered 36, and that's what Tim actually shipped me here. So just FYI, if you're not doing a total custom and you are just getting one of the standard packages, but you want a different height in the legs, it still may say 40 inches on there, because this is the instructions that go with that package. Nothing else changes about the package. So there's no sense in him making a whole nother sheet just for that. But you will get the correct size legs on your order, so don't worry about something like that. If you have a total customized system here, then this is going to be very specific to that system. So, because he'll make the diagram match your actual layout design. So just FYI. You're going to check all your parts, which I already have. Everything's here, so we're good there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to look at basically the diagrams. You're going to have 2 pages here. So one page is the overall finished construction, and then one is the actual leg set assembly locations, right? So our first step is actually to assemble all these different leg sets. And if you look at mine, you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's 2 in the back, 5, 6. So I'm going to have 6 leg sets I assemble, and then they're all going to be joined together with these I-beams and cross braces, right, to make the final piece. And they actually show you, if you can see this on the camera, right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're showing you a top view of those leg sections, and you can see they're all color-coded. The yellow ones are the 24-inch I-beams, and the blues or the purples are the 30-inch I-beams, and that's kind of the way it works. So all we have to do is, if we want to know how these assemble, you can go to the basic instructions of how you assemble leg sections. It'll be in here, how you join it all together. We're going to go through it, so you don't have to worry about these. But and then you're going to make all these leg sections first. Once you have all those, then you can go ahead and do the joining of all of these sections with the I-beams and the cross braces. So let's get our pieces together to assemble our first leg section. All right, so we're going to need to assemble these leg sections. Well, obviously we need 2 leg sections, right? So you have the legs. The nice parts about these pieces, again, is they're the same on every single side, so you don't have to worry about picking the correct side. So I just need to get 2 leg sections here. Sort of spread them apart right here. Put 2 I-beams between them, and that's it. You're going to need 3 tools, basically. A little plastic or rubber hammer, number 2, and a number 3 Phillips screwdriver, and that's pretty much it. And now all we're going to do is assemble it. So how do you assemble it? So our first set of legs that we have to create are using these 24-inch I-beams. So obviously we're just going to put them in between here, between these 2 pieces. So pretty self-explanatory, right? Going to line it up with the holes. And then you're going to get the other one and do the same thing. So they're going to be at the top here, basically at the bottom, right? And all we're going to use is the hardware to fasten it all together. So how do we do that? Well, let's see. All right, so the pieces we're going to need, obviously, for the hardware are, and by the way, everything's marked, so you can see in this bag, it says double adapter block, so that would be when we get to that point, so we don't need that right now. And this one says adapter block, so we don't need that right now because that's, again, a joint. And we're just making the legs right now. So really we just need some pins, which are in this bag right here. We need some cam studs, okay? And then we're going to need some actually cam locks, all right? So basically 3 pieces of hardware. So what you want to do is pick your leg here, all right? We're going to put, they're basically 3 holes that you have to deal with. So the pins are going to go here on the 2 outer holes, and you're going to take one of these, and you're going to take your number 2 Phillips, and you're just going to screw it into the hole. So you're going to do that on both sides for both legs. Then you're going to take your I-beam, and you're basically going to take your cam lock. And the cam lock, if you actually are familiar with these things, has a little arrow on it, and that arrow should point outwards towards wherever the hole is that's going into the piece of wood. And you just push it down so it's flush. And then all you're going to do is take your I-beam, twist it on there a little bit, and then you take your bigger Phillips screwdriver and you're just going to twist it until it locks. And make it nice and tight, and that's it. So there we go. We're locked on, and that's our piece. And we're just going to repeat that basically 4 times. 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. And that's going to give us our assembled leg. So let me get this finished and we'll come back. All right, and there's our finished piece. You can see right here, all assembled. I got a leg section, assembled it in, I don't know, less than a minute, minute and a half or something. So really quick and easy, right? Now, one thing you want to note is that if you notice that one side of the I-beam has the hole for the cam lock, and if we look at the other side here, there's no hole, right? So if you're trying to have a finished edge on one side and you don't want to see holes in cam locks, just keep that in mind. You don't want to put one I-beam with the cam locks this way and the other one the other way, right? Because then you'll probably have to take it out and put it back together a different way. But that is the one nice piece about it. It's not permanent, so you can take it apart if you need to and then flip it around. So just something to keep in mind when you're, putting your stuff together. The one side, if you notice on here on the wood, doesn't have any staples showing, where the back side, where the cam lock does, has the staples where it was stapled together for the I-beam construction. So if you want a nicer, cleaner look, make sure everything's sort of on the same side when you're putting them together. And that's pretty much it. That's how easy it is to assemble a leg section. Now, there is one more piece to this that you can do on the leg section, and that is this piece right here, which are the adjustable legs. Now, in my room here, I don't think I'm going to need these, to be honest with you, but guess what? I can always add them later. It's not that big a deal. So basically, there is a threaded connection right here that you just tap into the hole in the bottom. So on the bottom of the leg here, you can tap it in here, right? It's got some teeth that bite into that hole there, and then you just screw in your adjustable foot, and then you can adjust your leg sections if you have uneven floors. In this particular room, I think my floors are pretty much level. I don't think I'm going to need it, and if I do need a tiny bit, I can always put just a little bit of a shim underneath the leg if I needed to. So I don't really need to use these and go through all that with installation. So that's optional enough if you want to do something like that or not. If you're in a basement with a concrete floor, that's probably super going to have all kinds of different variations in it. You definitely want to put these in because that's going to make your life so much easier to be able to adjust the level on all these leg sections. So just an FYI, this would normally be the first thing that you tap into the bottom of the leg section before you assemble it with all the I-beams. But like I said, because this is a completely modular system, that kind of step, even if you didn't do it originally and you change your mind, you could easily do it at any point. It doesn't really make a difference. All right, so all I got to do now is get the other 5, right, because I got 6. So I just got to get the other 5 leg sections assembled, and then we'll come back and show you how you kind of join it all together. Okay, one little tip. When you're joining your sections together, you should not see a gap here anywhere between the I-beam and the leg, right? It should be really tight. So when you're turning your screw, you'll feel it when it sort of bottoms out, almost metal against metal, that you're at the end point here. But on this particular one, when I was putting the pin into the leg section right here, the pin didn't go quite all the way down like the other one did. And so when I put it together, there was a little bit of a tiny gap even when it was tight, which it shouldn't be. So I took it apart, and all I did was I took a little pliers, pulled the pin out, and then I took a little screwdriver and I just dug down here because there was basically some sawdust in there blocking it from going all the way down. And then I turned it over, tapped it, and the sawdust fell out. And then put the pin back in, and then you can see now it's completely tight and flush against the leg. So that's what you want to see when you're assembling your legs. If you have any gap there, it just means that something's off, so you want to check it before you put it back together. All right, guys, so we completed step 1 here, which is our 6 leg sections, and you can see them all down there. So not bad for 20 minutes work, huh? All right, so now all we gotta do is join all these leg sections together to make our rectangle. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the assembly color-coded diagram. That's basically gonna show me between the leg sections what size I-beams am I using, and then depending on the connection, whether it's just between 2 leg sections, which we're going to follow the same process we did to build the leg sections, which is the cam locks and the pins between them, or is it a section where in the middle here we've got right here where we got these cross braces coming across and there is no leg section below it. How do you connect those? So you're basically connecting I-beam to I-beam on those particular sections, okay? And then we're gonna put it around the room as we're assembling this. Now, in my particular design, what I did was, and this is going to vary by your design, but this is a 6x9 Benchwork support system. My tabletop is actually going to be closer to 11 by 8 or 7, I can't remember exactly. And the reason I did that is because I'm going to have some overhang on the layout that's going to accomplish two things. So on this side and this side, there's pretty much going to be almost no overhang because it's going to go pretty close to the edge, maybe a little bit over or something, but for the most part, it's going to be closer to the edge. On this side, which is going to be the front as you're walking into the room, I'm actually going to mount a piece of plywood across this whole front and mount Glenn Snyder shelving to store trains on that. But I want it recessed underneath the layout, so the tabletop is actually going to overhang right here, and then that is going to be sort of lined up with the edge of the tabletop, which I'm going to trim out all along the edges, and then I'm going to have this sort of shelving system right below there. That way, when people won't be banging into the trains because they would run into the tabletop first. On this side, we're also going to do an overhang because I want this side to be able to put like stools so people can sit there and then have their knees underneath the bench work, right? So the only spot that would block them from putting their knees there would be the two legs right here. And here we have a wide open 4-foot section right here, which is really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm using a different, so normally when you have this system, if you're not going to have to worry about either walking on it or these overhangs, these cantilevered edges, you could normally probably just use some kind of 1/2-inch material on the top, some stable plywood, not some cheap junk, but some nice 1/2-inch stable plywood. I'm actually going to use super high-end 3/4-inch plywood 2 times. And there's a reason for that. One is the overhang. I don't necessarily want to have to put all kinds of supports underneath here for the overhang. So 2 3/4 inches of plywood is 1.5 inches. That's super thick when it's all screwed together, and that's not really going to move. The other thing is the plywood is cabinet grade plywood. It's super smooth and stable. It's not a cheaper 3/4 plywood. So super expensive in today's market for this kind of plywood, but it's going to let me accomplish what I want, which is to have these two edges overhang, and I don't have to worry about them sagging or anything like that. And so when I put this bench work in the room here, what I'm going to do, I think, is assemble some sections before I join them all together, because I'm not exactly sure in the room where it's going to go. I did mark out on the floor the lines for the edge of the tabletop, basically. So what I need to do is get the basic framework of the benchwork up so I can see where it's going to land, and then do some measuring to get this put in the room exactly where I want it before I put the top on the benchwork. So for me, it's going to be a little finicky as I move things around, but again, nice part about this is these pieces are, fairly lightweight, so you can move them around easily, which is going to be a lot easier than if I was building this out of like 2x4s or something like that, like I did down on my O-gauge layout, which were basically non-movable once you put them in place and you join things together. So so our next step is what we're going to do here is we're going to try to make sort of these sections right here, this end section and this end section that you see with these blue pieces, and then join them together eventually with this middle sort of purple section. That will allow me to move these two end pieces kind of where I want them first and get an idea of the basic position before I do my final joining of everything together. So that's our plan. So what we're going to do next is join, since I have these leg sections already completed here, I'm going to put these purple sections on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. And then we're going to put this piece right here, this purple piece right here, and we're going to join this all together. And so we got a couple different types of connections right here in the center right here. we're gonna have to do a special connection, which is what some of those other pieces are for. So yeah, let me get these pieces ready to go here, and we'll show you how this all goes together. So in our particular case, what we want to do here in our diagram is we want to take, we've got two leg sections right here, and we can join, first of all, we can join those leg sections with 30-inch I-beams right here for these two front leg sections before we do anything else. Those are going to be what we just did before, no special adapters needed for that. So we're going to do that here, and then we're going to do this same thing down here. So we're going to get these two 30-inch I-beams done on each end here and get these two leg sections assembled. So let's go do that. Okay, so up to this point we haven't done anything different yet, right? We're still putting in our same cam studs right here and our pins. We're just doing it at the opposite side of the 90-degree angle right here. So right, we did it here before, and now we're doing it the other direction. So we're going to put them in and then join those together with basically an I-beam in between. So you can see right here, basically I've gotten one side kind of finished, right? And all I'm going to do is put the other side on here and then join it together. And then we've got one section done right here. Okay, so there you got it. So I got two sections right here completed. And if you look on our little sheet right here, basically it's this section right here and that one right here with these two purple ones in between here, right? And then we're going to join these together with one single I-beam on the front here, right? But you can see the way it works on my room right here. So when I come around to this section, I'm going to have basically open area right here, which is going to be a 4-foot section underneath here, and then open area right here. So plenty of room for people to put their knees underneath if they're sitting there watching the trains. And then on the front here, you can see I've got this area right here that's going to have another one over on the other side, and this is where the plywood's going to go in the front. Now, the nice part about this benchwork is, first of all, it's all solid hardwoods, so obviously I can add anything or do any kind of additional construction on top of this benchwork that I want to do personally to customize it. So like I said, the benchwork is going to overhang here, but underneath here I'm going to put a piece of plywood going all the way across the front here, and that's where I'm going to mount my Glenn Snyder shelves to make storage. And obviously if you wanted to, you could order any extra I-beam. So in other words, if you wanted an extra support here going across this portion because you weren't going to do anything and need to get underneath there, you absolutely could order more, and you know, you just have to tell Tim what you want, or you can order additional ones after the fact. And it's kind of like I don't know, it's kind of like Lego or Erector set, where you're just taking all these different pieces and kind of coming up with what you want as far as your configuration goes. So my next step is to get the two rear sections done, but what I could do here is join these two together with an I-beam on the front, and that would give me my total length for this one side. So that's what we're going to do next. We're actually going to put the I-beam in between these two sections, and then we can get an idea of exactly where we want to place our benchwork, and we're going to start doing some measurements for the overhang. All right, so all we did is we put our little studs in here and pins so we can just get this in here. It's not attached yet permanently. But basically, we just wanted to see the length of the benchwork. And so this is going to allow me to pick where it's going to sit in the room this way. Then we'll do the same thing. We'll do it this way so we can see where it's going to fit. And then we'll know exactly where in the room to put it. And then we can do all our permanent attachments with all the cross beams. So this will allow us to measure the overhang, basically, that's going to happen on this side over here, and then overhang on this end and this end to make it exactly the way we want it. And even now, the overhang on this side doesn't even have to be as much as I thought it was going to be, because I can have all this room underneath here to put my knees when you're sitting here with the benches. So I'm not really as worried about the overhang as I was before. So yeah, it turns out even better than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, so next step is to actually get the tape measure and then start measuring at the end here, because this is the important part, which is I want to have enough space at the end here to put a piece of plywood, and then also a shelf that's going to hold a standard gauge train. So we're going to have to take a guess of the depth of the shelf of the standard gauge train, so we know where it's going to line up, and we don't want it to go past this blue mark on the floor, basically. And that's what we're after. So we'll continue on and just play around until we find out where we're going to do these permanently. Then we'll show you how to do the cross bracing with the single and double adapters. Alright, so I got this end section bolted together, and again, we haven't done any special connections yet. We're just using the cam and the studs to bolt it all together to the legs. But basically, what we've decided on is this is going to be as you're walking into the room here and where I want my shelf. So right here out to the edge of the platform is about 6 inches. So I've got a 4-inch depth for the shelf. I got a 3/4 inch for plywood. So I'm giving myself a 5-inch leeway there plus an inch there. So that will be sort of recessed 1 inch underneath the top edge of the benchwork, which will be perfect for the shelves that will run on this side. And this whole section right here that you see that's wide open right here will be joined together with one big sheet of cabinet grade plywood on the front here, which is what I'll attach the Glenn Snyder shelves to. Over here on this side, what I've done on this side here is I'm going to leave myself basically to the edge here about a 5-inch. Actually, it's about 4 and maybe 3/4 or so. 4.5 actually is what it is. So we're going to have a 4.5-inch overhang on this side, and then on this side over here, which is against the wall, will be somewhere around just a little less than 6. So there's really nothing going to be back here on this edge that would need any kind of real support. Front edge is good, and then this edge is okay also. So why would I do this? You're probably asking yourself, why not just get a benchwork that's the full size of the tabletop? Well, first of all, if you get benchwork that's too big, you can't really cut down these I-beams, right? So that's going to be a problem. The second thing is it saves money, right? The smaller your understructure is that you buy from Mianne, you save some money, right? And it's not as expensive as buying a bigger size. So obviously the bigger the size of the structure, the more it costs, right? So that's the other thing, you're saving money. But this gives me leeway so that I can position the structure of the benchwork the way I want on the tabletop, and then adjust my overhangs as I want it to have happen. Doesn't mean you can't pick a substructure that is exactly the size of your tabletop, but this way, I ordered it, I don't have to worry about mistakes, and I got this leeway, and so that's all perfect. So all I'm going to do at this point, now that I have this side set exactly where I want it, the distance from the back wall and the front wall here, is join it all together with the I-beams, and then we'll put our cross braces in. So first thing we're going to do is get the I-beams joined. So we're going to join this half with the rear half, and then after we get all that assembled, we'll come back and show you how you do these double adapter joints where you're just joining I-beams together and there's no leg support to go with it. Alright, so there we go. So we basically have our whole perimeter frame all hooked together, and we just have a couple of I-beams left right here. And if you notice, they're going to go in the center here where we sort of have these wide open spaces. So we're going to put basically some cross beams here in this square here. I think there's one goes there and then one goes in here, and that's what these extra pieces are for. And these are the ones where we're actually joining I-beams to I-beams to making these cross sections and using these special double adapter connectors. Okay. One just little tip, these little cams that you saw me put in earlier, right? You might want to organize them, because I stepped on one in my socks and I think I cried for a minute because it hurt so bad. It's like if you've ever stepped on a Lego in your socks or your bare feet, that's exactly what it feels like. So just a quick tip, put these in a box or something on the side so they're not all over the floor. I just sort of opened them up and they were bouncing around, and of course I stepped on one and yikes, it hurt. So anyway. Alright, so let's go and get these cross sections put in. So we'll go get the kit for the adapter section so you can see how that works. Alright, so we got this 24 or 30 inch, I think this one is, I-beam that has to connect these two sides to give it some structural support here, right? But if you notice, it's not long enough to go in between there, and that's because in this particular case, we're going to start using these things called adapter blocks. So that's these little blocks they give you that are these blow blocks that go on the end here basically, and what you're going to do is then screw through these blocks, right, as your support. So that's why once you put these blocks on, that takes up this gap here that you're seeing right here. So in this particular case, on this side it's a single, and on that side it's going to be a double because it has to join two I-beams together on the far side over here. Here it just has to join to the outer perimeter of the benchwork. So we got a single and a double, so we'll show you both of those, how they work, and the difference between the two, and that way you'll know how to do the rest of the benchwork. Alright, so to attach an I-beam to an I-beam, you don't have the leg support, right? What we need to do is put two of these longer pins in the I-beam inside here. Now they're a really tight fit, so you got to get a pliers and sort of like twist them in there because they're really tight inside the center of this I-beam piece. Once you have that in there, you're going to take one of your adapter blocks and you're just going to put it over, line those up, put that on like that, and that basically when you squeeze these together with the pin, right, this prevents this from crushing the center part here because you have this adapter block here. Then you're just going to take your actual I-beam itself, just like before, and you're going to put it on, two pins on here, and you'll just line them up and then push that on like so. And then what you're going to do is take your cam lock pin and from the outside just push it through the hole, and it should pretty much line up on the inside here just like it did before with the cam pin. And now you're just going to put your cam in there and just turn it and lock it all together. And there you have it. Once you got your cam lock and you twisted it tight, now this I-beam is attached here to the other I-beam, right? And this block is taking up the space and the tension is all on the center here. And that's it. So you're going to continue making all your cross connections. So this is a single connection right here. On the other side over here, we're going to have to do a double connection. So let's show you how that one works. Okay, so for the double connection, you're basically going to have an I-beam here connecting to this I-beam right here, which is also going to connect to this I-beam on this side. So all three of these are being joined together. So this is a double adapter joint. In order to do this joint, we're using a couple different things. We're going to have this double-sided dowel pin, which is basically has the two ends that join with the cam lock. We've got two long pins, and then we've got two short pins to go with those. And then of course we're going to have the adapter blocks, one that goes on each side. Okay, so first thing you're going to take two of the short pins, and you're just going to put them inside your cross beam there. Okay. Then you're going to take your adapter block that you have and you're going to put that on there. Put those pins through there. That's basically just to hold this adapter block on, that's all it's doing. And then you can see here this would line up with our beam here. Now you're going to take your double pin that you had here and you're going to push that through the center, and that's going to go inside your there, and you can see it over here on this side. Okay, and that just kind of holds that up right there. Then you're going to repeat the process on the other side with the other I-beam, except you're going to use the two long pins on this side instead. So those long pins will go through the adapter block on this side and then into the beam, but then these will actually go into this cross beam a little bit, just like you did on the outer side there. So you're ending up with the same type of thing, and then you're going to put your other beam on here, and then you put your two cam locks on, and that'll lock it together. Now they do make a note in the instructions to go like when you're doing your cam locks, only go 90 degrees on the first side, and then on the other side same thing, and then do the final tightening, I guess, to make sure that these are spaced evenly
when they're locked in, because if you just do the cam lock, it's going to want to pull it all the way in. So, and that's pretty much it. So let's get this assembled. You can see what the final result is. Okay, so you put your little short pins on this side, right, and you bottom them out inside the I-beam, and that holds on this little piece here. Then you take your longer pins and you go through the I-beam and you go through the block and then again into this other side, and it will bottom out against the short little pins. So you have basically those two pins. Then you'll just put the longer ones into the other I-beam. So this keeps basically keeps the I-beam aligned with the other I-beam, right? Because you have a pin basically going all the way through the whole thing. And then you're just going to put your center pin in there and do your cam locks. Okay, so what'll happen is when you get this done here is basically you'll have a short pin on this side over here, the long pin going through this block, the center beam, and the other block, and then bottoming against the short pin, and then you'll have this center pin. And if you notice, I only turned the cam on this side 90 degrees. I didn't tighten it all the way, so I have a little slack here, but it does lock it in, right, so it doesn't move. Now I'm ready to put the other beam on this side, and all I have to do is put the beam on, do the same thing, 90 degrees, and then once I have that, then I can tighten both locks down, and that's pretty much it. So let me get this other piece on, and you'll see what it looks like. And there it is, the finished product. So you've got basically when you tightened up this side and this side, they still, when you turned them, bottomed out when you got to that point, but now you got a super strong joint right here, and you got basically 1, 2, 3 I-beams joined together, and there's no bottom support going down to the ground. You don't need it. And this is what's going to give it the strength for the support of the tabletop here. So all I got to do now is just finish out putting these cross member I-beams in. You saw the single and the double adapter method, and that's pretty much it. And then we'd be finished. So let me get this all done and we'll get to the final review.
Okay guys, so that's it. That's how you assemble Mianne Benchwork, and that's what it's all about. So I hope you enjoyed the video. The Mianne Benchwork has a lot of advantages. It's very fast construction. Everything comes in the kit. No mess, no sawdust, no dirt, no cutting, no dragging lumber from the lumber store. It's a really great system, super strong, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So our next step is to get the tabletop on and then get some trim work done and everything, and we will have a layout benchwork ready to go to lay some track down. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button. As always, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.